what they're saying, right? Just be clear for our audience, because I actually read that article. I didn't look at that. I read it too, but
Welcome. Ooh, I meant to fade that out a little bit better, but oh well. Welcome to the Jury's Out podcast, the podcast you come to watch and listen to, where attorneys and friends come to discuss their unique perspectives on various social issues in a raw, uncut, no fucks given way, because
the jury's out.
That's right. I'm here with my co-host Everett Hopkins and Jack Gomez, and we got special guests, Sasha Paulino and Louis Velez. Say hello to the audience.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Hey, what's good, baby?
All right.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm happy you're here. I appreciate it a lot. And today we are here to discuss how college no longer equals profession, and how you can go to college thinking you're going to make some money, and you may or may not make money, at least in what you thought you were going to make that money in. So before we start, Sasha, can you just introduce yourself to the audience and tell them what you do and what you're about?
Absolutely. So as Eugene said, I'm Sasha Paulino. I am an employee at Meta, formerly known as Facebook. I've been there for 4 years now. But I was a teacher before that, and it's been an interesting journey. But I'm still paying off my loans for my education degree. Yeah. It's been almost 10 years now. I'm happy to say I'm down to about $4,000. So we're very close. But thank you so much. Thank you. I was very fiscally irresponsible when I took out my loans for a private school. That's another conversation.
Well, you thought you were going to get that shit forgiven.
Yes. I'm trying to see if I can get this last $4,000 forgiven, but I should probably just bite the bullet and pay it.
I might have to bite the bullet. Louis?
Yeah, my name is Louis Velez, or like Louis, as most people are going to call me. I'm from Queens. I've been in education for about 5 years now. 3 years as a lead teacher, so that's the idea of when you think of a teacher, I've been doing that for about 3 years. I took the exact opposite path of Miss Paulino over here.
I miss being called Miss Paulino.
I can call you Miss Paulino all night.
And on that note,
the opposite of Sasha. I worked in business before I came into teaching. Teaching was always my passion. I kind of got lost from that, but I'm there doing it now. And I work for the DOE, New York City Department of Education.
Okay. And so you guys were both teachers at one point or another. Sasha, what made you want to be a teacher, and how did you end up not wanting to be a teacher?
So I think I always wanted to work either with animals or kids. I always saw myself either being a veterinarian or, I don't know, working as a nanny. Those were my first ideas as a kid. And then I ended up being a camp counselor. And I think that's what really pushed me in the direction of, I think you should be a teacher. But I guess I didn't realize that, there are other things that maybe wouldn't really gel with my personality or, I'm not a morning person, for example. Let's just start there, okay? And I had to be up by 4:35 in the morning to get to school. And these are not things that you know until you're in it.
Yeah,
Right.
And so I wish that there was more of a way to test these things. Looking back at college, taking a year off before college probably would have been a better idea than just jumping into what that personality test that they gave us. Do you remember this? So we all went to
Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. We all went to CMSB. We took the Myers-Briggs, and mine said I was either going to be
I don't know who Myers is.
Who's Myers and what did he break over here?
What's he got to do with bricks?
It's just it's 100 questions that tries to get to the basis of your personality, and then it'll suggest professions. And so
Dude, you guys,
it suggested
Sound like
social
some Hunger
worker.
Games shit, bro. No, the Hunger Games was that fucking the Maze Runner shit or something. There was a movie about how you chose your occupation by whatever,
Could you imagine if I had to choose something from that list, though?
So
Look at that link. I want to see what I should have been.
What does the system say I should be?
So you didn't want to become a teacher prior to taking that test?
I hadn't been a camp counselor yet. It wasn't a thought in my mind yet. I went in for sociology.
Okay.
And the test told me that I should be either a social worker, a hairstylist, or a teacher. So it was kind of spot on because I came there for sociology, so it did suggest social work. but social work's kind of a downer. So I've been told by people that are in the profession. And so then when I saw that teacher suggestion, I was like, you know what? After about a semester, I switched to education and tried to go with that track.
And Louis, what did you want to become when entering college?
I had always wanted to be a teacher. When we went to, we had an orientation. We all went to the same college. Well, me, Eugene, and Sasha.
Trio?
Yeah.
Where's that trio again? Yeah.
I know trio's a phone.
So when they had that orientation setting, I went to be in education. I always wanted to be in education, but I was kind of talked out of it because education is it's viewed as a very hard job. It's viewed as, and I think it's I think it's very much changed. But back then, I guess 15 years ago at this point now, it's viewed as like a very lowly position. So I always wanted to do it, and I was talked out of it by my mother and my girlfriend at the time, my first girlfriend, and she was like, "No, don't be a teacher, be in business." And I hope this is not being too crass, but that was the first time I was ever having like consistent
Pussy?
Yes. It was the first time.
That can be very convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first time I was ever having consistent sex. So I was like, well, oh my God, if she thinks I should do this and she's having sex with me, then I should fucking do this, I'm sorry for cursing, but I feel like it was like, I was like, oh, of course I should do that. So then, from there, it was like, well, if I'm not going to do teaching, I'm going to do business because that was what it was associated with. Business is like, that's where you make money. That's where you become important, and I feel like that was the viewpoint from before. So that's why I went into business.
And this pivot towards this eventual place that you end up not wanting to be.
Yeah.
That all for both of you happened your freshman year in college?
I went because I went in undecided. So yeah, very much 100%. Yeah, I was a pivot freshman year. It's the same as you.
When did education? Well, business for Louis. When did you start full time being an education major or going down that path?
My second semester as a freshman.
Your second semester. Oh, okay. So your first semester, you're still figuring it out.
I was still sociology. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So what was the catalyst that made the change for you, Sasha, and for you as well, Louis? So what was the?
So I did a 5-year program at CMSV to get my master's in 5 years, and my last semester I started full-time teaching. So I was going to school full-time, and I was teaching full-time. And my advisor at the time got me the job, but I didn't know anything about this school. I didn't do my research. I didn't go out looking for this position. And that was probably my first mistake because, I was just hungry for a job. I'm like, wait, I can get a job before I graduate. I'm taking whatever the fuck it is. But I didn't think about the fact that it was like February or March in the middle of the school year, and this meant that a teacher left. And I later found out that it was a nun who corporally punished a kid. I taught at a Catholic school. And so I thought, oh, okay, like she was just a nut and they need somebody to take over. It'll probably be fine. And I get there, and after my first day, another teacher comes into my room and she's like, listen, if you can make it at this school, you can make it anywhere. And
They meant that encouraging?
What does that mean? Yeah. What the fuck does that mean?
Like, welcome to the jungle. We got fucking games.
that was exactly it. If you read between the lines, it was going to be a hard 4 years. And I was there for about 3.5, 4 years. And by year one, I wanted out. But
why? What was it that what was happening there then?
so my boss was a nun. So imagine like working for a nun and what that might entail. There was a lot of homophobia, classism. I worked in the poorest district in the South Bronx. So you were coming to school, witnessing instances of abuse and neglect. And that is really, that weighs heavily, on the people that work there. They notice that. Okay. And obviously as a teacher, like you have to put your heart and soul into it.
Right.
And I think at that point I realized like I wanted a little balance. I didn't want a profession that was going to take over my whole life. And Louis said that like he felt like teachers are viewed as kind of lowly. I actually feel like it's the opposite. I think that people are always saying, that's so commendable and you're a saint for what you do. And it's basically because that job turns you into a martyr sometimes.
Yeah.
Where you have to think about it 24/7. and it really took everything out of me. So I needed a job where when I clocked out, I could stop thinking about work.
And how quickly in doing the job did you start feeling that way? Was there like a honeymoon period where you really liked
Never.
it? Never.
I mean, the first day was that other teacher coming into my room and basically like, telling me what it was going to be. And it was exactly that.
Welcome to hell.
Yeah.
And I guess not vice versa. Is it vice versa? Or
Depends on what you're trying
the
to ask.
opposite? Introspectively, once you got away from business, did you immediately love it, Lou?
Oh, man, I mean, well, going back a little bit, I think even with that business degree, like we're getting there junior year, senior year, I knew immediately, like, this is not for me at all. So I tried to run away from it as far as I could, as fast as I could. I tried to be into law school. I got accepted into law school, but that didn't work out because we forgot to send a deposit. At the time, that was supposed to send a deposit. Then I was in the AmeriCorps, which the AmeriCorps, it's very much similar to the Peace Corps, but just in America. So I moved to Austin to do that, to work as low-income families and refugees doing their taxes, getting their health insurance, getting them housing and stuff like that. But that was only a very set amount of time. It was only for a year, which I didn't even make the full year because it wasn't for me, so I left. But then after that, I was like, well, I'm only prepared to work in business. So I kind of went into that because I had to have did it. So the job that I had right before I got into teaching, I was working for a small e-commerce company. I was working for a linen manufacturer, so they make bed sheets and comforters and all that. And I was running like their Amazon store, their Wayfair store, Overstock, all that stuff. And I mean, absolutely, utterly miserable. Yeah. I mean,
What about it made you miserable?
I mean, it's very hard because very much in that 20s, I was miserable about everything.
Okay, yeah.
20-year-old might be.
Yeah, I was texting with somebody earlier about emo phase and music and all of that. But now thinking about it now, even though I didn't listen to the music, I think 25 to 28 was my emo phase. Just in life. But it was, I was talking about it with Sasha when I was driving her. Because not only am I a podcast guest today, I was also a chauffeur, I got the best of both worlds. I used to bring a hoodie to work with me. So, because I was so upset, I used to cry at my desk. And I used to bring a hoodie so I could flip the hoodie up. And I'd be like, well, hey, I have my hoodies on.
That's your bubble.
Yeah. It was like, I'm in my own
bubble
world.
face. Yeah.
With my headphones on, with my hoodie on, just being upset. So,
Before or after lunch?
One of the very good things, one of the few good things about that job was I was supposed to be there at 10, but I came in whatever the fuck I wanted and left whenever I wanted, So there was no such thing as lunch.
You said that you wanted to be a teacher ever since you can remember.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, because I was a special education kid, so I was like in those, 12-to-1 settings and all. That's a 12-to-1 setting. That's a teacher term, but it's like 12 kids, one teacher,
right.
or a 12 1-to-1 is 12 kids, one teacher, one like paraprofessional, which is like, people that help out teachers.
Right.
So the reason why I had always wanted to be a teacher is because I had ADHD. I was an overweight kid, which I'm still both of those people now. I'm still overweight. So it's not like I left, but I was that then as well. And it was hard,
You didn't know how to navigate that.
No, I didn't know how to navigate.
Now you do.
I own it now. I have my dating this is the second time. I talk about online dating. I have it on my dating profile now. I'm like, I talk about the weight and everything. Like, it's
Self-deference.
Self. No,
That-
it's
that's
like
not
no. I mean, the good thing about New York City, and I'm sorry we're getting so far away from the topic.
This is what we do, baby.
Is
It's
that
all good.
people are into like everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like one thing, like you could be like, oh yeah, I'm this guy, and some people are like, oh my god, no, I want nothing to do with that. And some other person will be like, oh no, that's my kink. That's exactly what I want. But like I said, so I was. The reason why I wanted to be a teacher is because I had so much trouble. When I was a kid, I had trouble relating to people my age. I related to people that were older than me, super older than me. And as a student, who are the people that are older than you around you the most? Teachers, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I wanted to be a teacher. So that's where it came from. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know, because I know you.
Yes. Yeah.
That the transition to going from business and actually following your dreams required you to go back to school. Like, did you feel like the course correct was easy? Like, how was that experience?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always been, and it's, of course, a teacher's going to say this, but I've always been a very good student. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not.
You ought to always say.
I'm not very good. I'm not very good at time management, unfortunately. But I feel like I'm very good at being personable, and I'm very good about getting the work done eventually. So sorry for it was very easy for me. Yeah, it was very easy for me. But sitting there at that moment when I was going to become a teacher, so I was, like I said, I was crying at my desk all the time and all that, and I was realizing, I was like, well, you know, I'm 27. I think I was 27 at the time. So I'm 27, and it's like, I don't know. At that point, I was like, I could see life wasn't an endless journey. You know what I mean? I realized that a clock, it's very morbid to say, but I'm sorry. I realized that, like, you know, time is not infinite. So it's like, I need to decide right now. It's like, well, am I going to stay here at this job, be miserable for the rest of my life and die? Or am I going to leave this job, be happy with what I'm going to do, and then still die, you know? Dying is the one constant part of it. You know, well, I mean, we might all move to the metaverse, so who knows? But dying, as of now in December 2021, dying is something that has to happen. Who knows, maybe later. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
No. I was like, that's where I need to decide, and I was like, I'm gonna do something with my life. So after that, it became all super easy. It became like, hey, whatever I need to do to get out of this, I'm going to do. So it kind of helped me that I was, you know, the stuff I was doing, I was comfortable with and all that. Yeah.
I think we had a career crisis at the same time.
I've had a crisis my entire life. But yeah, I think yes.
But no, I remember us having this conversation a couple of years ago when I was considering getting out of teaching and you were considering going in, and I was like, don't do it.
Stay very far
I remember
away.
that exactly. It was a bar. It's not around anymore. It's called Turtle Bay. And I remember
Turtle Bay.
I hated Turtle Bay.
God.
Eugene loved it, but I hated Turtle Bay.
Did he?
But this is where it happened. I remember when that was when I was like, I had gotten accepted, and I was super excited to tell the world, but I was super excited to tell Sasha in particular because she was a teacher. So I was very excited to be like, hey man, I'm gonna be a teacher. So that's what I did at the bar. I'm like, yo, Sasha, I'm gonna be a teacher. And the first thing she said is, don't. She's like, don't. And I'm like, I'm like, it's too late for that now. Do you remember what you told me after you said that?
No, what did I say?
You were like, well, if you're gonna be a teacher, do physical education. Yeah, you were
Become
like,
a gym teacher?
No.
It's gym teacher.
No, I don't think it is a gym teacher.
We call it physical education.
It's a pressure point. It's a pressure point. Some physical education teachers love to be called physical education. Some teachers like, no, it's gym. I want to be called gym, and that's what it is. But she told me, and she meant when she said it, she didn't mean it to be like, yo, do a job that's less, because it's not less. But she's like, do a specialty. That's what she's telling me. Do a specialty because it breaks it up a little bit easier and makes it a little bit easier to do. Which, I mean, I did not take her advice. I appreciated her advice very much, but I did not take a single iota of it. I'm sorry.
Well, also along the car ride, I did say that I worked at a Catholic school.
Yeah.
You worked at a charter, right? And then DOE.
Yeah.
And I sometimes wonder, especially after our conversation, like, would I have liked DOE better? All I had was that one reference point with the Catholic school that was on the way to being closed, didn't have much funding, had a crazy person for a principal.
Oh, wait, so when you started, the school was closing?
It was always on the chopping block.
Is this
So you was on a sinking ship.
Yes. Yes, very much so. And so there were like 20 some odd Catholic schools that were up for closure. There's an issue, I guess, with the
decides these
funding.
things?
What?
The Jesus?
Jesus
Bishop comes and like,
himself.
the Lord told me you get no more funding.
Who closes Catholic schools? Because if it's the Pope, that means
Pope Francis,
Jesus,
that-
it was Jesus informed.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I remember Catholicism.
No, I think that the Archdiocese of New York is supposed to handle that, and it was mismanaged,
Oh, okay.
from my understanding. So a lot of schools had to get closed, and every year my school was one of the schools that was up for possible closure. And to be in an environment like that from day one, you can probably understand like why I felt the way I felt.
Do you think that? And this question goes to both of you guys. Do you both people? It's people nowadays. Both of you people. Do you think if you would have had a fantastic, like, I guess if you don't like the job, how can it be fantastic? But do you think if you had a better experience, maybe you would not have left?
Yeah,
Do you think,
no,
do you think a better experience was even possible, given what you know?
100%.
Okay.
I think there's a world in which like I might be a teacher today had my first placement been better.
The alternate metaverse.
the alternate reality,
Yeah,
the less dark timeline.
We should once the metaverse comes, we could run a simulation, see how it looks.
Right?
See
Why
how
not?
you're doing.
It's all digital.
These jokes don't get old.
Not to the ones that are saying them. We love saying them. So that's half the battle. There is something you said before that I wanted to give you a little bit of pushback on, and I think I'm going to do it now a little bit. You said that, and I think this is the expectation of a lot of people is teachers are expected to like make teaching their everything. Mm-hmm. It is expected. We are expected to be martyrs, like you said. And I feel like the most successful teachers, and this is an attitude that I like to take, and it's something I don't share very freely. I guess I'm going to do it now to the entire audience right here. But it's something I don't like to share freely because I think people frown upon it. Is teaching is very much not my life. You know, like there is a Mr. Velez, that's my teacher name, and there is a Louis Velez or a Louis Velez, that's the person I am. I feel like the people that go into teaching and they're like, this is going to be my life. I'm here to change the world. I'm here to make everything better. Those are the ones that flame out because it's like progress moves slow. You know what I mean? And it's like when you have a kid for 9 months, 10 months, when they're in crisis, either emotionally or at home where they're not, you know, the school that I work at, we have, one of the teachers told me that like we have the most homeless student. We have one of the most homeless populations in the entire city. You know what I mean? So it's like, how much can I really change about their lives?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, if you go in there with this attitude, hey man, I'm trying to change people's lives, I'm trying to change everything, you're going to have a bad time. You know what I mean? So that's how I kind of look at it. It was like, I have these kids for 10 months. And I need to do the best that I can do, not to change their entire lives, but when they get to that next step, when they get to that next place, that they're able to take it. So I feel like that's what, like when I try to do all my work at school, when I'm off the clock,
Fuck
I'm
outta
off the
here.
clock. And I know that is
You need that.
You do need that.
need that.
You need that 100%, but it's like people take that very poorly. Because
Yes.
I am a teacher. I'm supposed to be a hero. I'm supposed to be selfless.
Yes.
I'm supposed to stop caring about everything else. Right. And it's like, no, I'll never do that. And I feel like that's what makes me, I don't give that attitude ever. And I feel like that's what makes me an effective teacher. But the reason why I think you were set up in a way that messed you up, DOE, we have a strong union. So it's like, even when I think I need to go further, there'll be somebody that's in there that's been in that job for 10, 15, 20 years. They'll be like, yo, dude, you need to chill
the fuck
out. Where in a charter school where I came before this DOE situation, or in a Catholic school where they're literally fighting for their lives, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to take every single ounce of you that they can, throw you out, because they know there's going to be an advisor at some college, Catholic college,
Who's gonna
that's
feed
be,
another
hey,
college student.
I got somebody that's perfect for you.
Yeah.
Because they know there's a kid that needs a job no matter what.
Is that how
So
you?
yeah.
Is that how you felt, Sasha?
That just made my mind blow.
I try to say,
They
I don't want
got
to say
me,
too
man.
much
They
in the
fucking
car.
got me.
No, but like it's to an extent, it's not your fault, right? I think that when we graduate college, we're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kids. Like, yes, okay, now I'm done with school. What's gonna be my mark in the world? I want to change the world. That's how I felt coming out of law school, right? And when I became a public defender, that's why. I'm like, yo, they're locking up all these black people for nothing. Like, it's crazy, right? I want to change everything about the system, tear it down to the ground, and then you get in that system, it's like,
I'm gonna do what I can.
yeah, it's like, you know,
I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna try.
like yo, in what are we? Year 8? It's gonna be.
We're about to enter year 8.
Yeah, about in year 8, it's like, listen, man, you need to just take this and just get the fuck on with your life. Like, it's like you can't fight everything, like, and there's no way. And you have to, like, Louis is the minority. I've never heard anybody who had that type of outlook on life from the start. Like, that's crazy.
Wait, a lot of teachers have that outlook. It's just, it is like,
Not glorified.
It's not glorified.
Yes,
It is
that might be
not.
what it is.
And
Yes,
it's
yeah.
like, I kind of keep it to myself, but it's like,
No, you gotta share that, bro.
no,
That's
yeah, it's very hard. And I think I'm willing to share that now because I'm in a DOE where I have a union that's protecting me. But I kind of had that outlook at a charter school when I was working at a charter school before. I'm like, well, no, I need to live my life. I need to be about me. And that's where they were like, hey, you're not.
Nah, fuck you.
I am right there with you.
unions matter, baby.
Back when it made a difference on my day-to-day work schedule, I was what they called a DAT king. And maybe you could explain what that means to them.
The littlest work possible for the max amount of gains. That's what it was, right? The minimum allowed, but you can't say I'm not doing my job because I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
But it's the minimum in my contract.
So
right?
a DAT is what they call a desk
appearance.
appearance ticket, and it's basically like you're still charged with a crime, but you don't have to come on day one. You don't have to go through.
We're not gonna put you through the system.
And
bro.
it's usually
But you also gotta behave yourself for the next 6 months to a year.
no, that's called an ACD. A DAT, ACD is you're already in the system. A DAT basically means, let's say you get arrested for like
It's in the public.
pissing in public. No, you might just get a summons for that. Let's say you get arrested for like driving without a license, driving with a suspended license, bullshit cases. What they'll sit there and say is like, all right, we're not gonna like take the next 12 to 24 hours of your time. We're going to give you a ticket and trust you that you're gonna come back, even though you're being charged with a crime. And then
You're not
come
gonna
back.
see a judge that night.
And
Give
what
me a
I
ticket.
realized from jump, it was like when they come back, because they've already proven to the court that they can come to court, they're not going to get put in jail, right? And a lot of things have changed since I first started, but it's people are used to get put in jail for bullshit back in the day, and I'm talking about a few years ago. So I realized like disappearance ticket, that's called a arraignment shift. Like I have to go to that part so I can arraign these people. And vice versa, I can go to people who actually get put through jail. So what I realized, people for whatever reason hated DATs because in a regular arraignment shift where people are going through the system, you're doing like 5 to 20 cases. At a DAT, you're doing like 30 cases minimum. But the thing is, you're doing 30 cases. You don't really have to do a bail application. You don't have to work. Like the conversation could be a lot shorter. It's more like, yeah, you facing some bullshit. I'm gonna get you a discount. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Basically, you ain't going to jail.
You ain't going to jail.
That's not wasting nobody's time.
So what I realized is that fuck that. This is a good way to do my job. Be a public defender, serve my community or whatever you want to call it, but fucking take some stress off of me. Like, well, I don't need to work hard. Like, I don't need to do extra work for anything. And it's like, and I think the point of me telling that story is that realizing that there's having a job and then there's doing it well, and then there's also managing your own mental health in that process. And if you don't do that correctly, you can get burned out or you can stop wanting to be a teacher.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a pattern where there's the educators, a lot of them they're out by year 5. That's like something that really happens because, which is something I struggle with, is like not taking work home, like in the emotion, right? So I'm working at junior high school, And a lot of these kids, are not only they live in poverty, but they also like their mannerisms are very disrespectful. Like they say, like they're especially from COVID and the pandemic, they have like this. They don't have this social emotional awareness, and they're also junior high school kids, so they lack empathy. And so I have to keep reminding myself, like, no, Jack, don't kick this kid down the stairs. Don't punch him in the face. It's first off, you're gonna go to jail, you're gonna lose your job. But then second of all, what are they gonna learn? They're not really gonna learn from you snuffing them. You know, they're not. They're just gonna learn to react to violence.
Yeah, they might learn something.
Or that I'm teaching them that how you solve your problems is through violence, which they already do that, right? Since September, I've broken up like 15 fights.
Damn.
And 14 of them have been between girls.
Damn.
Like, the girls are ruthless. And the things that they say so it's like I'm frazzled after breaking up a fight because I get scratched, I get hit in the mouth, I've got filled out a lot of reports of, me just getting hit and these kids getting suspended. And it's like I need a period after that to cool down. But you really don't get that. Now, I'm very fortunate enough that my administration, they're very kind to me. And they're like, Mr. Gomez, we understand. You just got punched in the face. You just broke up this fight between 5 girls. You could take a minute.
You got a union?
Yeah, because I'm working the same system. Yeah. And so, but my principal could be like, no, go to your next class. You just got hit, cool. Go to your next class. And I could grieve it and all this other, but I'm fortunate for that. But it's hard to not take that home because then I'm going home to Valeria yo, these fucking kids, man, I swear to God, I'm gonna get my little cousin to come up and snuff one of these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So it's.
And you go to jail.
You can go to jail.
Jack, thank you for sharing that. But he touched on really 3 important things that there are in teaching. And I can remember 2 of them right now. I think I lost the third one. But 2 of them at least. One thing, and probably Sasha remembers this too, one of the things teachers say, do not take it personal.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, don't take it personal. Because I'll have kids, they'll make fun of my height, not my height. They'll make fun of my hair, they'll make fun of my belly, they'll make fun of it. They'll say whatever they can to get a rise out of you.
Yeah.
And it's they get very, now I remember the third thing. So they'll say whatever they can. So it's number 1, don't take it personal. Because a lot of the times it's they're not mad at you. They're mad with something going on with themselves. So they want to transfer that to somebody.
Yep.
So let me pick on what I think this person's insecurity is.
Projection.
And then let me pick on what I think this person's insecurity is. Get it out of me so that I can transfer my anger to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. Another thing they used to tell us a lot too is that for a lot of these kids, unfortunately, because of the strife that they're going on with at home and the strife that their parents are going on with at home, is that for a lot of them, school is the most positive place that they can be. You know what I mean? Teachers there, and it's I hate to use the word hate, but I'm going to use it anyway. I hate when teachers blame families and blame parents because they make it seem like there are perfect circumstances where all they can do is focus on their student and on their education. And they really can't. They got to worry about their job. They got to worry about how they're going to make money. They got to worry about they have to worry about all that real life stuff where teachers, we really don't. We only see these kids, so it's very easy to be oh, well, mom should be more involved. Dad should be more involved. Auntie or uncle, whoever it may be, should be more involved. But in the case, that's not really what it is. Right. You're worried about getting thrown out of your apartment. You're worried about how you're going to work. You're worried about how you're going to, put food. So it's at that point, one, they're going to have all those negative behaviors because it's they're around situations where it's they're not seeing the positive behavior. So we kind of need to model that for them. Right. And then the third thing that he was talking about that I think is really smart is, and this is another teacher saying, and maybe I'm sure maybe Jack has heard of it, maybe Sasha's heard of it as well, is you can't pour from an empty cup. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's if you're stressed out, imagine the principals, the administration that's letting Jack take a minute to breathe, that's letting him refill himself. That's letting him refill himself so that he could help people out. But if you're throwing people into situations where they're not ready, where they need a breath, all you're doing is making it worse because you're pouring from an empty cup.
Yep.
Like if I have an empty cup, I can't give you
There's
nothing.
nothing. Yeah, I
There's
can't
nothing
give
to
you anything
give.
of value.
There's
Yeah.
nothing giving nothing. You know what I mean?
DHE's
So it's
kept
like,
me real full, baby.
all you're doing is making it worse. So it's like I don't know what kind of Jack school works at, but I don't know what his administration's like. But all three of those things, it seems like they're doing the right jobs.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure they're awful at other stuff.
Yeah.
But with those three things, they're really helping me out.
Now, Sasha, as someone who got out of this nice place / shithole, whatever side you fall on, do you feel like the experiences you had as a teacher and like basically your educational background made it easy to transition out of it, or was it hard? Was it a stigma on your resume?
What was what you learned transferable into what you do now?
100%. I do want to touch very quickly, though, on something that Louis said. So, at my school in my last year, my principal came up to me a week before school was set to start and said, you are going to teach. I was teaching first grade at the time. So I didn't really have like the hormonal issues with the kids. They were still very super nice. But she says to me, you're going to teach first grade and kindergarten at the same time.
Oh wow.
How?
The same classroom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's they'll do that sometimes. Stack 2 or 3 grades,
like-
special ed.
Right.
You mean like
That's
bridge?
crazy.
So you mean like a bridge class?
Yeah.
A bridge class
special
telling
ed
me
class?
a week before school was
no,
scheduled to
that's
begin with
crazy.
no
Yeah,
para.
yeah.
It was just going to be me teaching 2 grades at the same time.
Yep. Yeah.
And
How many kids?
I think it probably would have been like close to 30 total.
Do they
Oh,
count
that's crazy.
Do they count the kindergartens as half of a first grader?
Because I know we use the word bridge, so just for the people that don't know, bridge class is when you take like half kindergartners or half first graders, you put them in there, and you're like, well, you got to teach both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Got
There's some
kindergarten.
some special ed classes where like if it's a 12-1, that you'll have 3 kids that are in 6th, 3 kids that are in 7th, and 3 kids that are in 8th.
Yeah.
And so they'll make you teach. And so the teacher has to, when they teach math, they have to teach 3 different maths, 3 different Englishes.
See, that was my next
3
question.
different- Yeah.
Like,
so
the older kids got to be bored, right? And
Well, yes, but that's one of the bullshit aspects of the public school system, right? Where it's like these teachers are forced to create 3 lessons every period, and at 3 different learning levels. And then, and then to dive into it even more, is like some of your 6th grade kids don't even know first grade math. And then you can't teach first grade math, which might actually help them. You have to teach them 6th grade math as simplified as possible. But if their learning ability is so far behind what you're trying to teach them, you get to a point where it's like it's impossible for me to teach them 6th grade math if they have a first grade math level of understanding.
And why did they do that to you?
Because they could, and because they
The
need it.
limited resources
don't
and the
wanna
fact
pay
that
people.
they don't want to pay people.
You're doing 2 jobs now.
Basically, yeah. And so, as I said, this was a week before the school year started, so I had no preparation. I've never been trained in that. I've always taught 1 grade at a time. So that's really the year that I was like, okay, it's time to go. Because I told her flat out, I'm not going to do that. And it turned into a really heated conversation with like this much older woman who was my boss. And we were kind of at odds after that point, but I didn't get fired because, I guess she
Can't
needed
fire
me.
me. You need me.
Right.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, was it an easy transition? So I'll tell you basically how I got into, right now I'm an executive assistant. And during that final year of teaching, I was approached by one of my friends who knew of an entry-level position at McGraw-Hill, which is a textbook publisher. And I figured, okay, well, that's related to education. It's entry-level, it's clerical, it'll be a break. And so when I got that job, I was making the same amount that I was making teaching. And I thought to myself, like, oh my God, look at the difference in workload. I'm making the same amount of money and I have my weekends again and I have a little bit more of my sanity. And so I went into the job at McGraw-Hill just really needing a break. And even during that interview, I said, teaching is the hardest job I think anyone can ever do, and everything else after this is going to be a walk in the park. But I went through a long period of people not believing that those skills were transferable. Me trying to get out of teaching took me years. And so I got into this interview with she was the CMO of McGraw-Hill Higher Education. And she was like, well, you know what? Taking care of my team is not unlike taking care of a group of first graders, so I'm going to give you a shot. And it was nice. It was a lot more chill, but it also wasn't important anymore. Like teaching was important. I was affecting lives, and now here I am, like getting coffee for people. And so I have since gotten to a role with Meta where like my job is equal parts project manager, event coordinator, travel booker. Like it's so much more than that first position of, just pushing papers.
How long was the transition to stop calling it Facebook?
So I'm really trying to be good about calling it Meta.
You do a really good job. You do it all the time. Like you're really good at it.
No, you're really good.
Yeah, they're going to continue to employ you because you're doing exactly.
I swear to God, when you said Meta today, I'm like, what the fuck is Meta? What are you talking about?
That's why I
You
said
were behind.
the artist
You were
formerly
behind.
known as Facebook.
So,
Yeah.
Metadata?
but before we get out of here, when I was thinking about doing this topic, I thought you guys were perfect because you had inverse experiences. You guys started in one place and ended up in the opposite place, but that's, it's the opposite of where you started.
Right.
Whatever. What do you think can be done in the educational system that could get people to start where they want to start and end where they want to end? Do you have a suggestion?
So do you? Sorry.
No. I there's one thing I wanted to say before we talked, and you keep talking. You said it before about like feeling like unfulfilled in what you were doing and all of that moving by. And if there's teachers that ever listen to this that decide to quit teaching and all of that, the one thing I'll say is like don't feel bad. Like the work is the work, you know what I mean? So it's like when you were saying, well, I feel like I was doing stuff that didn't matter. It's like you're working. Work doesn't define us. Like you're working so you can live your own life. And if you're living your own life, like that's what matters. So it made me feel bad when you were like, well, it made me feel really bad because you're like, well.
Come on, bro.
No, that was funny. That was really funny. But it made me feel bad when you were like, well, I'm doing stuff that doesn't matter. And I was like, no, well, you were giving something that let you take your own life back. And that's more important than anything ever.
Hell yeah.
Fuck them kids.
That deserves a
For
round of
anybody
applause.
that's listening to this, for you doing that, for anybody that's listening that's going to quit their job and do something else, like, no, man, the job doesn't matter. You matter. You only got 80 years, 90 years on this planet. I ain't going to live to 90 years, but you only got like 70, 80 years on this planet. Like, live your life. Fuck jobs.
For you.
I mean, not to answer
Sorry.
my own question, but I think the answer's right there. I think the educational system that we live in, America, whatever fucking country you're in, Mars, needs to teach kids how to find their true passion. Find a job that makes them happy, that they enjoy, and accept the fact that there's a learning curve in that, but make that learning curve earlier. You know what I mean? Like
What I was going to say was, I think our parents used to go to track schools. Like they would be sent to a high school based off of trades or something like that.
Yeah, you're talking about the vocational schools.
We have like aviation.
Yeah.
So I'm from Queens, so aviation is a big one.
Yeah.
And that's where they teach you like be an airplane mechanic or stuff.
Right.
like that.
So
Yeah.
the thing is like from what I understand from working in the education system is that the vocational schools were actually they actually were shut down because because I'm a conspiracy head, I really feel like it was the colleges being in cahoots with the government and the state and saying, no, we need to funnel more money into our pockets. We need to funnel more money into our pockets. So now this is college ready, right? They have them college ready at kindergarten now. And so the vocational schools that created more business people, right? More entrepreneurs because you learned a trade that made you money. And you didn't, and once you learned that, now they cut that out because he's like, no, we need everyone to have a paper from my establishment in order to be recognized as valuable or capable of doing something. And now I feel like thanks to the metaverse, thanks to cryptocurrency, thanks to the next level of the internet and technology, we are now swinging back. The pendulum is swinging back.
100%. And it's like, I feel like it was a societal thing. Like, if you didn't go to college, if you didn't do this, you're not going to do that. So at my school, like, we don't ever tell kids that, like, oh, you're not meant to go to college or that, because that would be an awful thing to say. But it's like, we present them with different opportunities. And we're like, hey, this is not the end all be all of where it is. I feel like, and I always say this to other people, it's like, maybe if I wasn't pushed this whole education thing, I think I probably would have went to a trade school. I would have been like an electrician, which I doubt now because I hate manual labor completely. I barely even want to like lift a hand, which is teaching makes that great because it's like I could just sit there and do everything. I'm just kidding. I don't sit down. But yeah, we push that very much. So it's like we're already doing that now, and some people, some teachers, some adults will be like, well, no, I still have that society thing, like I need to go to college and all that. Where I mean, like I feel like in the next 10 years, I feel like we're honestly going to go back to more of a push for vocational stuff, where it's like, hey, this is a path you can take.
Someone just needs to create a metaverse sim where you get to try out jobs on your off time and you'll figure out what you
pitch
like.
that.
Get some Bitcoin on the side.
There's a game called Job Simulator, you know? And you can simulate jobs.
And we come full circle to back to that shit that y'all took where it told you what to be. Yeah.
Exactly. Which I think you said Myers-Briggs. I'm pretty sure McGraw Hill's behind Myers-Briggs.
Wow.
I'm almost sure. Yeah.
All right. Director saying wrap this shit up. So,
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank
Before we
you.
get out of here,
Thank you.
we have to thank the people who. No, we got to thank the artist of the week. No. I apologize. Unsung hero.
Oh yeah.
of the
Oh,
week.
we got my brother Justin Hopkins, who was a psychologist, licensed psychologist down in Washington D.C., servicing the good people. He specializes in couples therapy and Black mental health. You should check him out. He's always on Instagram. Yes, thank you. I'll take all of the applause on his behalf. That's wonderful. Yes. Doc Hop, I think is his Instagram. So just look him up, and go to him, talk to him, lay on his couch, and pay him.
Yep.
And we also have to tip a hat to our sponsor, Mr. Biggs Wines, who is one of the rappers of what was it? African Bambaataa, right?
The
Yeah.
whitest guy in the room knew that.
Yeah. And so he's got a wine company, and
Shout out to Bronx River. The projects that created hip hop.
That's right. And shout out to that's a black owned wine business. So black people making wine, they make everything else better. So why not have some of their wine? Black in the berry, the sweet of the juice. They say ingredients good. So thank you and shout out to that sponsor.
And before we go, is there anything you want to say? Shout out, highlight, metaverse commentary you want to say to the audience before we get out of here, Sasha?
Want people to follow you, website, whatever,
I don't really have a social media presence like that. But if you want to follow SP the Boss, no. But what I would say is, if you're not happy, you have to change something, and don't let it drag on for years.
Yes.
You're not put on this earth to work, man. You're put on this earth to live your life. What?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought that was it.
You're not put on this earth. So it's like, I think teaching is one of the best things you can do. But if you don't think that is for you, like Sasha thinks, that's wonderful. That's awesome.
And just because you can do a job well
Yeah.
doesn't mean you should do it.
Yeah, of course.
Because if it drains you,
there's plenty of other stuff
What's
I
the
can do,
point?
and it's
Keep
like,
your
what's
cup
the
filled,
point?
baby.
And also, I just thank you for having me. I don't think I would be where I am right now if it wasn't for Eugene and the way he supported me and all of that.
Thank you.
So, and Anthony too. He's the guy that keeps yelling. But,
Our director.
No, my life was very zigzaggy to where I'm at now, and I'm the happiest I've ever been, which is very weird because I was very miserable in all of my 20s and early 30s. So it's like, if you're not happy now, if you're not where you're at now, life isn't over, man. So just keep going for it.
I love this conversation, man.
And
Thank
ladies
y'all
love
so
Cool
much.
Louis. That's my Instagram.
One last question.
I'm on Hinge. I'm on Tinder. I'm on Bumble. Come look for me. If you're like, yo, this guy's so smart, you want to date him? I'm single.
Woo! That's it. We good. We don't need no more questions.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
No, what they're saying, right? Just be clear for our audience, because I actually read that article. I didn't look at that. I read it too, but what they said was
Dropping gems like we preaching. Don't overstep the line of my freedom of speaking. We cast to the world, put the words in the street and connecting all the minds of the people we reaching.
Yo,
jury's
I'm tempted to get fenced in and contempting. Teach you motherfuckers a lesson and pressing the issue at hand. Nah, I don't care about objections, suspensions, and cell inspections. Just suppression of black lives is my passion. And love for my fam is everlasting. So stop gassing these asses with glasses. Cause in the end, I leave them where the trash
Jury's
is.
out. Jury's out. Jury's out.
There's no doubt what we about, and we kick it to the masses. Trying to spit the law as we laugh off our asses. Breaking down the latest shit, carrying crazy lady shit. Glad I got no baby shit. COVID got me crazy, bitch. Damn. And G gon' have to edit this. The jury's out, so you can't even credit us. No statements null and void, invalid evidence. No, you can't take us to court, cause you know.
Jury's out. Jury's out. Jury's out. Jury's out.
I like to share knowledge. I like to share knowledge.
Again, it's more than sharing knowledge. It's
What is it?
ask any attorney when the jury's out.